The turkey sat golden and untouched at the center of the dining table. My parents' dining table in what they still called their house. A colonial revival on Oakmont Street where I'd grown up. Except it wasn't their house anymore. They just didn't know it yet. Before we eat, Dad said, standing at the head of the table, we need to make an announcement. My older brother Kevin sat across from me with his wife Melissa and their 2 kids. My younger sister Rachel scrolled through her phone, barely interested. I sat at the far end, wine glass in hand, waiting. Your mother and I have been doing a lot of thinking, Dad continued. Kevin and Melissa need more space with the kids getting older. Their rental is too small, too expensive. I took a sip of wine and said nothing. Mom smiled at Kevin. So we've decided, we're giving Kevin the house. He needs it more than we do and certainly more than you do, Jennifer. Kevin looked uncomfortable. Mom, we haven't actually discussed. There's nothing to discuss, Dad interrupted. Your mother and I are downsizing to a condo. The house should go to family who'll use it properly. You have 2 children. Jennifer's single with no prospects. No prospects. I was 34, a senior accountant making $175,000 annually, with an investment portfolio worth $600,000. But in their eyes, no husband and no kids meant no prospects. When are you planning this? I asked calmly. We close on the condo in 2 weeks, Mom said. Kevin and Melissa can move in right after Christmas. Plenty of time to settle before the kids' school semester starts. Rachel looked up from her phone. What about me? You're 26 and living with your boyfriend, Dad said dismissively. You don't need a whole house. But Jennifer gets nothing? Jennifer has her apartment, Mom said. She's fine. I set down my wine glass. Have you checked the property records recently? Dad frowned. What? The deed. The title. Have you looked at who actually owns this house? We own it, Dad said impatiently. We've owned it for 30 years. 28 years, I corrected. You bought it in 1995 for $180,000. But you don't own it now. The table went quiet. Mom's smile faltered. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and opened my email. 2 years ago you were 6 months behind on the mortgage. The bank sent a foreclosure notice. Do you remember that? Dad's face flushed. That was a temporary problem. It was a $340,000 mortgage you couldn't pay. Medical bills from Mom's surgery, Dad's business downturn, Kevin borrowing $30,000 you couldn't afford to lend. You called me at midnight crying. Kevin's head snapped up. You borrowed $30,000? Not relevant right now, Dad said quickly. Very relevant, I continued. Because when you called me that night you begged me to help. Said you'd lose everything Grandpa helped you build. Asked if there was any way I could save the house. And you helped us, Mom said desperately. You paid the back payments. I didn't pay the back payments. I bought the house. Silence. Rachel's phone clattered to the table. What? I turned my screen toward them, showing the county property records. This is the deed recorded September 3rd, 2 years ago. Property owner, Jennifer and Morrison. Purchase price, $340,000. The exact amount owed on the mortgage. Kevin grabbed my phone. His face went white. You signed a quitclaim deed, Dad, I said evenly. You transferred full ownership to me to avoid foreclosure. I paid off the mortgage in exchange for the title. That was supposed to be temporary. Dad shouted. You said you were helping. I was helping. By buying your house before the bank seized it. The lawyer explained everything at closing. You signed the papers. Mom was shaking. We thought it was a loan restructuring. Some kind of refinance. The lawyer used the word transfer 14 times. I counted. You heard what you wanted to hear. Kevin scrolled through the property records on my phone. This says you've been paying property taxes for 2 years. Difference. Everything. Correct. $14,000 annually in taxes. Another $8,000 in insurance and maintenance. I've invested $44,000 over 2 years, plus the $340,000 purchase price. Total $384,000. The numbers hung in the air like smoke. Why didn't you tell us? Rachel asked quietly. Because I wanted to see what would happen. If you'd acknowledge what I'd done. If you'd include me in family decisions about the house I owned. We didn't know you owned it. Mom protested. You signed the papers. You just didn't want to face it. Dad's hands were fists on the table. So what now? You're taking the house from us. I'm not taking anything. It's already mine. Has been for 2 years. But apparently you've been planning to give it to Kevin without consulting me. Kevin needs it. Mom's voice cracked. He has children. Kevin needs a house he can afford. This isn't it. Kevin set my phone down carefully. How much are the property taxes? $14,000 annually. Jesus. He looked at Melissa. We couldn't afford that. Plus maintenance, I added. New roof last year, $18,000. HVAC replacement coming up, probably $12,000. This house is expensive to maintain. We never asked you to do all that. Dad protested. Someone had to. Unless you wanted the roof to cave in. Mom started crying. Where are we supposed to go? The condo you mentioned. The one you're closing on in 2 weeks. We can't afford it without selling this house. Dad shouted. We need the proceeds from the sale. To sell the house you'd need to own it. You don't. The realization crashed over them like a wave. So we're just homeless? Mom whispered. You have 2 weeks until your condo closes. I suggest you figure out your financing. Quickly. Kevin found his voice. Wait. You said I borrowed $30,000. From Mom and Dad 2 years ago. Right before they stopped making mortgage payments. They gave you money they didn't have. I didn't know they were in trouble. They said it was fine. It wasn't fine. They went into foreclosure to help you with your investment opportunity. Kevin's face went red. That business failed. I lost everything. And they nearly lost their house. Which I bought to save them. Melissa pushed back from the table. We need to go. We haven't eaten, Kevin protested weakly. I've lost my appetite. She grabbed her purse. Kids, get your coats. They left within 5 minutes, the children confused, Kevin avoiding everyone's eyes. Rachel was staring at me. You've owned this house for 2 years and never said anything? Would it have mattered? Would you have treated me differently? Included me in family decisions? Probably not, she admitted. We've always kind of dismissed you. The boring accountant who never does anything interesting. The boring accountant who saved the family house. Yeah. She stood up. For what it's worth, I think this is badass. They shouldn't have tried to give away your house. She left too. Just me and my parents at the table with cold turkey between us. We can't afford the condo, Dad finally said. We were counting on selling this house. The down payment, the closing costs, everything depended on the sale. Then you need to back out of the condo purchase. We'll lose our deposit. $20,000. That's unfortunate. Mom's eyes were desperate. Please, Jennifer. Let us sell the house. We'll give you back what you paid. Just let us have this. You can't give me back what I paid. You don't have $384,000. We'll get it from the sale. The house is worth at least $500,000 now. $520,000 according to the most recent appraisal. Which means my equity is $136,000 plus the $384,000 I invested. You'd owe me about $520,000 to buy it back. Dad's face went gray. That's everything. We'd have nothing left. Exactly. Which is why you're not buying it back. So what do we do? Mom's voice was small. You figure out your housing situation. Find a rental you can actually afford. Stop trying to give away property you don't own. We've lived here for 28 years, Dad said quietly. This is our home. It was your home. You lost it when you stopped paying the mortgage. I saved it from foreclosure and I've been maintaining it ever since. But you're right about one thing, it's too big for me. Hope sparked in Mom's eyes. So you'll sell it to us? No. I'm keeping it. But you need to start paying rent if you want to stay. Rent. Dad's voice rose. In our own house? In my house. Market rate for a 4-bedroom in this neighborhood is $3,800 monthly. I'll give you a family discount, $2,500. We can't afford that. Then you can't afford to live here. There are 2-bedroom apartments 10 miles out for $1,600. Much more appropriate for 2 people. Mom was crying again. You'd really make us leave? After everything we've done for you? After everything you've done for me? I leaned forward. You paid for Kevin's college. Mine, I got scholarships and loans I'm still paying off. You gave Rachel $15,000 for her wedding. I got $200 and a lecture about living within my means. You lent Kevin $30,000 for a business that failed. When I asked to borrow $5,000 to fix my car, you said I needed to be more responsible. Each example landed like a stone. You've always given me less while expecting me to manage better. Well, I did manage better. I built something. And when you were about to lose everything, I saved you. But apparently that earned me nothing. Just an announcement that you're giving my house to Kevin. We didn't know it was your house. Dad protested. You signed the deed. You've been living here rent-free for 2 years. You just didn't want to acknowledge it. The turkey was cold now. The perfect Thanksgiving ruined. I'm leaving, I said, standing up. You have until Monday to decide. Sign a lease at $2,500 monthly or start looking for a new place. Either way, the days of pretending this is your house are over. Jennifer, please, Mom started. I spent $384,000 saving your house and maintaining it. You thanked me by trying to give it away. We're done pretending I owe you anything. I walked out of the dining room through the house I owned, past the furniture I'd been paying to protect. The house that was finally, legally, undeniably mine. My phone exploded that night. Calls from Kevin, from relatives, from family friends who'd heard Jennifer's side of the story. Most of them attacked me for stealing the house. A few asked quiet questions about what had really happened. Only my cousin Lisa texted, I always wondered how they kept that house. Now I know. Good for you. On Monday, my attorney Marcus Bennett called. Your parents want to meet. Discuss terms. What terms? They're proposing a rent-to-own arrangement. They'll pay $2,500 monthly, and after 5 years, you'll transfer the house back to them. I laughed. No. That's what I told them. But they're insistent. They can be as insistent as they want. I'm not giving them my house. They also suggested you loan them money from the eventual sale so they can buy their condo. Also no. I figured. Just wanted to confirm. He paused. For what it's worth, you're handling this well. A lot of people would have caved by now. A lot of people didn't spend 2 years paying for a house while their parents planned to give it away. Fair point. They signed the lease on Wednesday. $2,500 monthly 1-year term, standard tenant protections and landlord rights. Dad could barely look at me during the signing. Mom cried through the whole process. This feels wrong, she said as she signed the last page. Paying rent to our own daughter. You're paying rent to your landlord, Marcus corrected gently. The familial relationship is separate from the contractual one. After they left, Marcus handed me a copy of the signed lease. You know this isn't over, right? They'll fight this every month. Make it difficult. I know. And your brother will probably sue. Try to claim some kind of equity or inheritance rights. Let him try. The property records are clear. They are. But family law gets messy. Expect complications. He was right. Kevin filed suit 3 weeks later, claiming our parents had promised him the house and that I'd interfered with his inheritance rights. The case was dismissed in 10 minutes. The judge looked at the property records, looked at Kevin's lawyer and said, your client has no claim to property his parents didn't own. Case dismissed. Kevin didn't speak to me after that. 6 months into the lease, the first rent payment was late. Then the second. By month 8, they were 3 months behind. $7,500 in arrears. Marcus sent a formal notice. Pay the outstanding balance within 30 days or face eviction proceedings. Mom called me crying. We can't afford it. Your father's business isn't recovering. We're drowning. Then you need to downsize. I told you that 6 months ago. We're your parents. You're my tenants. Who are breaking the lease. I have every right to evict you. How can you be so heartless? How can you be 3 months behind on rent in a house I saved from foreclosure? She hung up. They moved out the following month. Found a 2-bedroom apartment 40 minutes away. They stopped speaking to me entirely. Rachel sent me a photo of their new place. It's actually kind of nice. Smaller, but they can afford it. Maybe this needed to happen. Kevin blocked me on all platforms. But the house was empty. Fully mine. No tenants, no family drama, no pretending. I stood in the living room where I'd grown up, where Thanksgiving dinner had exploded, where I'd finally stopped letting them take from me. The house would sell for $520,000. After paying off lingering expenses, I'd net about $510,000. Or I could keep it, rent it properly, build real equity. Either way, it was mine to decide. Not theirs. Not Kevin's. Not the family's. Mine. And that was worth more than any amount of money. I listed the house 3 months later. Professional photos showcased every room I'd maintained, every update I'd funded. Within a week, I had multiple offers. A young family from Seattle offered $535,000, all cash, close in 30 days. I accepted. At the closing, Marcus handed me a check for $528,000 after all fees and expenses. I stared at the numbers, thinking about the $384,000 I'd invested 2 years ago. Net profit, $144,000, plus 2 years of my family finally seeing me. What will you do with it? Marcus asked. Invest most of it. Maybe buy another property. Something smaller. Something that's always been mine. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Mom saw the sold sign. She's devastated. I typed back, she had the chance to stay. She chose not to pay rent. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, fair enough. That night I drove past the house one last time. The new family's moving truck was already there. Kids running across the lawn I'd paid to maintain. It looked like a home again. Just not mine anymore. And somehow that felt exactly right.